I know London. People pay a lot of money to get high out there. And I got a gangster putting a gun to my head, telling me he's gonna kill my cousin if I don't come up with the 10 bags. Do you get me? Just having Top Boy alone was amazing, but it's what the show has done. It ended as a brilliant show and everyone had been talking about it. But I think now it's gone further than that. If we do this, we're back, bro. Back on top. And I think everyone's idea, including Drake, was just like, don't try and fix it.
You want to sell food, you sell my food.
It just feels like everyone's watching it.
Because in weird ways, it is a bit like a documentary. I mean, is that ultimately an aim of what you guys are trying to do with this show?
What you're trying to do is give that environment in this realist form, and it's an everyday battle for a lot of these kids to get up and not know if someone looks at them wrong, are they gonna be stabbed? Is it gonna be this, is it gonna be that? That mind mess can make you do some really crazy shit, and I know because I went and got my gun. It just became a real intense, hostile environment for me where I lived. I became a recluse. I didn't want to leave my house without a gun. Like looking back now, there's mental health, there's all sorts of stuff mixed into that. I couldn't tell my mum about it. She didn't know about all of that stuff was going on until I was arrested. I hope I've inspired a lot of other people to get involved, to make music or to act or whatever, so.
And Top Boy Academy is a little bit about like trying to go out and promote, you know, the arts and that kind of thing.
Netflix were very adamant about kind of having this shadowing scheme. How do we create the stars of tomorrow? As long as you're willing to change, as long as you're willing to do something different, I don't care what you've done. I feel like if you're willing to change, you can change.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go? This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Ashley Walters is back, the top boy himself. After 4 years between our first interview and this one, so much has changed. Most importantly, the latest season of Top Boy is on Netflix and it's better than ever. It's so incredible. I was so moved watching the 10 episodes of this series because it represents part of London that the world doesn't know about. Sometimes they think of the Queen and they think of three-piece suits, but there's a whole culture here that's represented in Top Boy and shows so many powerful things. I love it because it's real, it's authentic, and Ashley and Kano and all sorts of other incredible actors absolutely crush it. And it was great talking to Ashley about everything, what it's like in his acting career, his early music career, how he parents, how he wants to produce content going forward. He's such an honest guy, such a cool guy. I'm just so proud that he represents this city in such an incredible way. If you haven't watched Top Boy, go watch it on Netflix now and then watch this episode. And for the rest of you, sit back and enjoy Top Boy himself. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Ashley Walters, the British musician, actor, and producer. You are best known for playing the lead role in Top Boy, the Netflix show and modern cultural phenomenon that was revived after a 6-year hiatus with help from the Canadian rapper Drake. You first entered the British music scene in 2001 as Asher D from So Solid Crew with the #1 single 21 Seconds at the age of 19. And after an extended break, you've just dropped your new single titled Top Boy. This year, you earned your first producer credit on your TV show Bulletproof and hosted the inaugural Top Boy Academy, which aims to give back to the community and pioneer a rise in new talent across London and the rest of the UK. Ashley, welcome back to London Real.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good having you back, man.
Brilliant intro.
It's been about 5.5 years since you were here last time.
Yeah, a long time. Actually, I thought it was longer than that, but yeah, it's been a long time, long enough.
It's been a long enough.
Yeah.
And last time you were here, I think I was asking you about Top Boy Season 3, and you were like, you know what, right now there's nothing. And then I think about 5 or 6 months ago, I heard it was coming back, and I won't lie, I was pretty excited. And I was just all over Netflix for about 5 days. I paced myself a little bit.
Good.
But I mean, 10 episodes, a new season. Before I get all into it, how's it been received? Has your life changed significantly with this all dropping?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed in many ways. It's been changing. Obviously, people kind of never think about the fact that we started filming a year or more before you guys saw it. So, not that it's old news to us or we weren't excited about its release, but it's kind of been a part of our life for so long. So it's been changing my life, kind of behind the scenes. I'd say kind of as we released, I think the main change I've seen is the amount of people who know who I am.
Okay.
I don't know, kind of...
Stopping you on the street?
Yeah, I think that for me has been difficult. It's been difficult. It's something that I thought I could handle, and I felt like I've been used to, but I've never had it on this sort of scale. So, and it's just meant like literally, a lot of the kind of, I'll say normal, but that's for lack of a better word, but a lot of the normal things I took for granted doing. Walking in the park with my kids or just eating dinner with family or whatever, I destroyed now.
You can't do that
I can't
anymore.
do them anymore.
You can't go on the tube, you can't walk down the street.
I don't go on the tube. And it's not about fear, because I feel people are quite cool and happy, and the response is really lovely most of the time, but it does become annoying and kind of irritating and overwhelming sometimes. So for me, I mean, everything else has been beautiful, but that at this moment in time has been the most difficult thing to do.
Well, you're kind of a quiet, introverted kind of guy,
yeah,
right? Which most people maybe are surprised, especially after seeing your music background, where you feel great performing on stage, but you are.
That's where I leave it. I wouldn't go as far as to say I'm a slippers and pipe sort of guy, but I like my home, and my wife will tell you I like my personal space. So it gets like that sometimes. I do feel slightly overwhelmed by it, but I really appreciate, the response.
Is it bigger now than it was when Top Boy, say, Season 2 dropped, say, 6.5 years ago?
Yeah. It is, I mean, I think for two main reasons, because obviously we're backed by Netflix now. It went out in 120 countries around the world in one day, so or one week. So, for us, that kind of straight away that takes you into another level with the amount of people that are going to see it. But I think second, the storylines opened it up to a lot more people, different types of people, especially here in the UK.
How so?
I mean, well, I think it crossed, when we were on Channel 4, it spoke to kind of the middle class, as well as the people that the story was about, or the people that came from the place that the story was about. But I think now it's gone further than that. And it just feels like everyone's watching it. So, I mean, the guy on the bus driver will know who I am, so will the cabman, but then so will MPs, and so will bankers, and, like just people that you just wouldn't look at them.
Yeah.
They would be watching Top Boy, but they really, more importantly, I was speaking to a guy at an art fair not too long ago, at Freeze, it was Freeze Art Fair.
Yeah.
And I went down there, I can't remember his name, but he kind of had one of the exhibitions, really posh guy, white guy, old as well, I mean like early 60s or whatever. And just, for me, he epitomizes what I'm talking about, because he had a half-an-hour conversation with me about the storyline and, the detail
Yeah.
and kind of what some of the characters were feeling at that time and this and that or whatever, which just made me know that he actually, it was more than he just watched it, he got it.
Yeah.
Like it hit a nerve with him and he kind of related on some sort of level.
Yeah.
Which I feel is just amazing, but it's what the show has done previously, but just not on this scale.
And you think it's because maybe the storyline is broader, but also you guys did everything about 10 times better, I would say.
Yeah.
Like the production value is just, everything's kind of 10x'd. I was like, you're in Jamaica and you're here and the plot lines are complex and I mean, the acting's always been good, but there was a lot happening. And it's funny you say that, Ashley, because like I was watching it, and I know this sounds silly. I put this big long Instagram message. I posted the old picture of you and me, and I said, I said I was proud to be British because of Top Boy. Yeah. And I mean, people must be thinking, who is this 48-year-old white dude, ex-banker, who's born in America, who's proud of a show that happens in estates in Hackney? But I don't know, there was something about it that was like, you know what, you guys told London's story. You know, these are people, like I know these people. Maybe I don't know them because they're my neighbors, but like I met them and I spent a year in Homerton mentoring this kid there who was 10 years old with a thing called Chance UK. And so I know people that are from the area, and I know everyone in there are people that, I don't know, I feel like you guys really represented who we are as a city. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was the plan. We fight for that in this show. We fight for it more than, like, I don't know, good performances or whatever. It's kind of, it's weird, the process of making the show. And obviously we can't let people into it too much, but behind the scenes, a lot of the time what we do is argue about who's right and who's wrong, and about who we're representing. That's like our main thing.
Really?
It's like, yeah, so if it's just like...
What would be an example of one of those arguments?
All right, so let me give a good example. So we had a scene, I'm still gonna get messages from people saying I've spoiled the show for them because they haven't watched it, but I have to.
Right. We'll say spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Come
spoiler
on.
alert, that's it. There's a scene where I ask Driss to get us a hiding place. So he gets us like a trap, you know, a place for us to lay low. Yeah. And he gets us this place and we get in there and it's, you know, we think it's shit or whatever.
Pretty grimy.
Yeah, it's grimy and we ask him to find somewhere else. But he doesn't, we end up staying there. But the whole thing was the day we first went to that location to shoot, the art department had taken it upon themselves to leave empty pot noodles, you know, cups, sweet wrappers, clothes thrown over the floor, you know, drug paraphernalia, foil, and shit like that. And we were like, literally, we said that we're not gonna film in this location. We felt, I mean, we didn't actually get what we wanted, but it still worked because we felt that because we'd made so much money, you know, it's 2019. People are quite extravagant. We could have easily rented a room in the Sanderson and be hiding. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, for people to look at us, to find us or whatever. Why was it necessary for us to find a, you know, it's not like we were selling drugs from there or whatever. We're literally just hiding. Yeah. So we just felt like, why didn't we go to the country? Why didn't we rent a house there or do this or do that? And we just felt like that was more about people slipping into stereotype and stuff like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So we literally came on set and me and Kane were like, we're not gonna shoot it. We had a discussion about it before and we were like, we're not shooting it. You know, they have to make this place look better. So literally they spent like 3 hours tidying it up and just getting it to what you guys saw it as. But before that, it was like a tip. So that's one of the examples.
And that's been the essence of Top Boy because it's never the stereotypical Hollywood version of what something should be like. Yeah. Whether it's a drug dealer or a bust or a person who lives in these places, it always feels real. Yeah. You know, and I think everybody knows what feels real. Even the guy at the Frieze Art Fair, to some banker, to someone, and that's why it resonates.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, I'm totally with you, and you know, we don't sit there in the beginning together and kind of create this mantra or this thing that we're all gonna fight for this and fight for that, but we kind of embrace it along the way, and it's never personal, it's never, you know, people are walking off set or whatever. It's just like we're very strict about just whatever character you're playing, that you represent that person in the right way. You're the voice of that person. And yeah, if you don't do that, you know, it could be, it could go the wrong way.
Does it help having guys like you and Kane who either came from the street or also know people from their music and also have to get the feedback, as opposed to some actor they would just bring in to play this part that would then go back to their life somewhere else?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, I mean, this has been it's been a gift and a curse for me and Kane, because for nearly 10 years we've had to live it, because we're not that far from, you know, the places that and the people that we're representing, just like you said. So it has been tough for us. So maybe that's one of the reasons why we're so strict about it, is because we still have to see these people and live with them, and some of them are our families, our friends, and whatever. So it is really important, and I think it does help having us there. But also, I mean, I can't take full credit for it, because we hire, we bring into the show a lot of people that are from that world, you know, that are the characters, maybe with a different name. Some of the stories are about them or based on their lives, and they're all involved in the show as well. Work from a consultant basis to being in front of the camera and behind the camera as well. So, you know, I think it's important that we have a combination of those things, kind of us as the lead, so to speak, kind of having that experience and knowledge of it, as well as performing as well. And then I feel like a lot of the raw talent, the young kids that come in, and the actors that come in, or non-actors that come in, really inspire me, because they have a fear. I mean, they're fearless. You know, because I've been acting so long. Even Kane, I see in him sometimes, really, because he's a lot more fearless than me at times. And he teaches me to reminds me of how fearless I need to be at times, because I've been doing it so long, you kind of get caught up in technicality and, just trying to be the voice of reason sometimes and this and that, and you quickly are reminded by these guys who come in and just do what they want, and the director's kind of like, and you're like, oh shit, yeah. That's the energy you need to bring sometimes, so it's good.
I mean, Kane, man, I mean, he just goes to places that, I mean, it's raw, and it's raw, and I know that's inside him. That's what's 100%. Maybe the scariest thing, and the fact that he can put that out there, that's what I find super bold. And I mean, I don't know anything about acting. We talked about acting last time, and you were teaching me things about acting.
Was I?
Yeah, you were. And, you were.
I shouldn't be teaching, innit?
But I mean, that's really the reason I had you on last time, is because I remember it was season 2, Top Boy. You're being interrogated by the police, and you're not acting like the Hollywood actor's supposed to act. You're being like you. You're underplaying it. You're playing it so subtly and so nuanced. But I was like, man, this isn't television. This is like a new genre, you know. And so you and Kane really bring like whole new boundaries, you know. Especially the first couple episodes of this latest season. I mean, man, I don't know where your head's at. It's really hard to figure out what's going on and what's been going on with you. You know, you got a little extra weight. You're in Jamaica, but it's like it's hard to figure out what's really going on in your head for 3 or 4 episodes, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
you don't get that in TV these days, do you?
No, I mean you do. There's some really good shows. I mean, I watch. I feel like they're not my blueprint, but I'm inspired by. But yeah, I feel Kane. Well, your first point was Kane. Especially in this season, I think is taking it completely to another level. He's done really well, but I mean, it's just, if you listen to his music, you can kind of tell how serious he takes everything anyway. He's just got like that focus, and he's an artist that you'll never be able to get him to do anything unless it's on his own terms, completely. Whether you might feel like you've had some involvement, but you haven't. Like he's that guy, and he's respected for it, and he does it gracefully. Doesn't do it with anger, You know what I mean? His fight is real subtle. To the point that sometimes, I mean, he's quite manipulative. He kind of makes me fight a lot of battles that I probably wasn't thinking about fighting, but he'll kind of, you know, what about that fight? And I'll kind of take it on, but, you know, together we create something special, and I feel, you know, he's really excelled as an actor. He understands it, he learns real quick, so he understands it. I mean, the technical side can be quite difficult at times, but he gets that. And yeah, definitely this season, the scenes we did together, I was very happy to see how far he's come, and happy how much he pushed me as well.
He embraces like a method more.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's. It's not completely fun with him on set. I mean, I get more access to him than others, but a lot of the other actors walk away like.
Does he stay in character?
He doesn't like me. He doesn't like me.
Okay. Is he in character on set?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I mean, it's scary enough in the show.
Yeah.
Imagine it'd be nice to be around him otherwise. And he accesses that darkness in like a big way.
Pretty dark, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty raw. I was like, wow, man, I was feeling it, you know, when he was there on screen.
Yeah.
What was it like having all the Netflix behind you? Because they had much bigger budgets, and this was 10 eps. I went back and watched season 1 and 2 afterwards, and I realized, man, those were only 4 eps each. And then this one was just obviously big locations, other countries. Like, did it feel different?
Yeah, 100%. You can't deny the fact that the Netflix wheel is one that is, you know, you can't go, you know, at this moment in time, it's hard for anyone to go up against it, and they're just so powerful and they're everywhere, and you feel that presence kind of when you're filming. But the beautiful thing as well, I mean, I'm saying that they were there, they were supportive. The budget was obviously bigger, as you said. Not too much bigger, mind, but you know, what you see on screen, there's a lot more money there. But at the same time as their presence being quite, you know, huge and kind of them taking care of us, they didn't get involved too much with creative decisions. Maybe in the beginning, like the narrative and just making sure scripts were, you know, right, storyline was right. But other than that, they were pretty much, you know, when it came to filming and the whole process, just supportive of what we needed to do. And I think everyone's idea, including Drake, was just like, don't try and fix it. Whatever it was that you guys did for season 1 and 2, do that. But just on this budget sort of thing.
Because there is a risk. You bring Netflix in and it becomes something you don't want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. I think we were all mindful of that it didn't need fixing. It ended as a brilliant show, and everyone had been talking about it until this point. So we just needed to deliver on, you know, was it worth the wait, and what were the storylines going to be? And we knew the storylines were great. So yeah, it was just about everyone kind of being on their A game and executing, and they did. And we had some amazing directors as well, I have to say that. So
yeah, so Ronan Bennett obviously wrote it, and he's there, but then you had a bunch of different directors.
We did, so we had our first 2 directors. We had 4 directors altogether. 2 kind of new up-and-coming directors from the UK, and 2 kind of new up-and-coming directors from the US, which was, I mean, I think it was a good contrast. I feel you can see the difference throughout the eps, or personally I can, and maybe that's cool because I'm in it. But I've had a few other people say that as well, in style, so you can see the difference. And but I think it was good for us to do it that way. It gave a real kind of international feel to it, because the actual show was set up. So the first 3 episodes were shot by Ronaldo Green, who's an American director, US director, and he set up the first 3 episodes. So pretty much it was his job to kind of set up the texture, how it looks. You know, he's casting the main characters in the first 3 episodes, which, you know, those characters go on throughout the show. So it was down to him to kind of set it up, and I think he gave it that international feel. But he's quite an intimate. He's quite intimate in the way he directs, anyway. So he had elements of, you know, that fly in the wall kind of documentary sort of style that we used when Jan was doing it. I feel he had elements of that in his style. So it met with what he needed to for what we needed. And then we had Nia, who was like our first female director for Top Boy, which was cool. And we had it was a whole female crew as well.
Wow.
When she shot, which was new for me and a really good experience, actually. And I don't want to be one of those guys to say it, but it was like the best environment on set.
Why?
Because I suppose a film set can be quite ego-driven. There's a lot of testosterone at times. You know, men fighting for control and that sometimes, you know what I mean? And everyone wanted to be right. And I think that the atmosphere was just different. It was just a lot more relaxed. And I mean, maybe some of that was because I remember being reprimanded a few times by our DOP. Because at times I'd be quite like, it's times when I get like, I'm getting stressed or whatever, I can be quite loud. And not in a way like shouting or being aggressive, but I'll start singing or rapping or just doing something that maybe annoys other people on set. And I just remember being told a few times like, yeah, calm down. You know what I mean? And it's like, actually, yeah, cool. I need to focus anyway, sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, that was a nice environment, but I think the episodes as well, kind of, those two particular episodes were maybe a different style to the others that we saw. A lot more picturesque, a lot more steady, you know. There was a lot more beauty to it. Whereas the others are a bit more, you know, you get closer towards the end, they get slightly more claustrophobic, less music, you know, and you have to listen more or whatever, whereas the beginning, I think, is it's just a nice, easy way to get into the story.
Yeah, there's these moments in the show where it's almost like you forget you're in this high-stakes environment where there's just the boy cooking with his mom, you know, and it's like, it's longer than it needs to be. And you had this moment of just like, okay, this is life. This is a beautiful moment in life, and you can kind of enjoy it, and it takes the time. And then, you know, it's got moments of that in the show, which I always find just really unique. I mean, maybe it was one of those episodes, I don't know. Whereas the plot line is fairly testosterone driven.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it really is.
It is.
We're trying to kill and dominate and make money, and that's what it's about.
It is,
right?
but it's the little things that just kind of open you up. What you're trying to do is give that environment in this realist form, and these are the things that, you know, we were really specific about kind of contact, physical contact between the male characters in the show. So if you watch, you know, they hug a lot. The brothers will be laying on each other and whatever, and they'll be talking about some real, like, male shit. Like when they, you know what I mean? But it's just kind of being friendly and comfortable with each other as brothers and hugging and showing that sort of love on camera between young black boys, especially in London, I think is, first of all, it's true. It's real, but it's just something that people don't see. The people that don't know people like that, you know, or don't have friends like that, can easily have a very demonized view or opinion. And breaking those barriers is not always just about, you know, you don't have to lie and have little black kids from the block in suits to make people feel like they're less threatening or whatever. Actually, you can just show them in their real environment like they do. Sing and dance with their mum in the front room in front of the mirror, or, you know, with their brothers, or play around or fart on each other or do stupid shit like that. So, and that's kind of just what that was about. It's just like
Is this kind of Jamie's brothers and stuff when they're cooking with each other and messing with each other?
Yeah, it's just like...
There's a lot of love in that family,
Of course. And just imagine, you know, I think it's hard for people to believe, but it's the truth that people, they'll be at home and they see their parents or whatever, and then they go and commit a crime. Like, that's their job to them. And that's how it happens. So it kind of, it makes it, I suppose you then start to see actually what motivates people, and you know who they love is kind of a lot of the time is connected to what they do and why they're doing it. And I suppose in some place you empathize, sympathize. I don't know, but
because in weird ways it is a bit like a documentary. And like an MP watching or a Frieze Art Fair connoisseur watching maybe can say, oh, maybe there's nuance here to these people and the lives and crime, and maybe it's not all bad people commit crimes and good people don't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a symptom of in people's environments.
Exactly.
I mean, is that ultimately an aim of what you guys are trying to do with this show?
I'm not allowed to say that that's a name. I wouldn't say that was a name anyway. Because our ultimate thing is to make a TV show. Do you know what I mean? That is entertaining. I feel when people say things like that, or focus on things like that, I think it holds things back slightly, because I feel there is a slight pressure on shows that are deemed to be black shows, to be righteous, moral, you know, and all of the above, but I feel that holds back creativity.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like there's, especially now in like the early stages of my writing career, because I'm going into my writing directing career now, and it's completely different from, I always thought like, they're connected. Once I'm ready to do it, I'll be able to do it, it's nothing. But actually I'm having to learn a new thing, learning to be a different person, and my stories that I want to tell, or the way I want to tell stories, are actually based on all the things I've learned up until this point. And until I get that out of my system, I won't be able to, I can't think of doing science fiction or anything like that at this moment in time. To me, that's just like crazy. Why would I write, you know what I mean, make anything up? Like, because I've got so many stories to tell about being a dad, about kids, about, you know, my upbringing and this and that, whatever, which will all kind of be related to the roads, where I grew up, you know, some of my friends and my past. And maybe there'll be people that go, well, why you always gotta talk about drugs, or why you always gotta talk about this or whatever? But actually that's therapy for me, is my transition into being able to talk about other stuff, because I've got to experience it first.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's real to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels real to me.
And so you don't want to ever feel burdened to be overly righteous about what you're doing. You want to also be just honest.
Yeah.
Right? And be true to the script.
Yeah.
And just try to present it as real as it can be.
100%.
And don't feel pressure like you're glorifying drug dealing or all this stuff. You're like, look, I'm telling a real story that was written by Ronan, and I'm trying to be as true as I can. Yeah. And don't try to judge me one way or the other.
Exactly. Exactly. I think we're all kind of striving for that sort of truth. Do you know what I mean? Somehow. And I think if you're not, then, you know, whatever you do, it's not really going to connect. Yeah. And I think everyone, or if you look in history and you look with most powerful, successful people, they've all had that moment in time, or been allowed to have that time where they were finding themselves before they became, do you know what I mean, the person that they are. I feel like, you know, if history tells you, you know, the royal family and loads of other people have kind of been in positions where if you might look back on it and feel like it's slightly, that's a bit weird, and they were doing that or whatever back then, but it's kind of, you know, people do a lot of things to get to the other side, and I just feel like censoring art at any point or whatever is just, it's not cool for the game.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you might not want to see, because there's loads of things. I mean, there's loads of music I don't want to hear, and there's loads of films and stuff that I feel like, why didn't they give me the money? And Do you know what I mean? I know someone who could have made a better film, but excuse me, that actually all those things are part of someone else's journey, and I can easily just close my eyes,
right?
Whatever.
So people expressing their own truth is ultimately really important.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's funny, the older the guest I have on the show, the more people talk about the truth as being such an important thing, you know, because that's the only thing at the end of the day that's real, as much as you might not want to hear certain bits of it. And I have a lot of different people that sit in that chair. Yeah. And on the surface, you might think you know who that person is. Oh yeah, I don't like that person because they're liberal, they're Democrat, they're rich, they're poor, they're blah. Yeah. But once you actually listen to their real story, you're like, oh, I didn't realize it was that and that and that and that, you know?
Yeah, well that's the mad thing, because everything, I mean, not for everyone, but for most people, their reality is true to them. Like, I was talking to my wife about this the other night, and she was like, we watched this documentary, I can't remember what it's called. It was on Netflix, I think. And it was about the brothers, they're twins. And up until the age of 14, they were sexually abused by their mother. But at the age of 18, one of the twin brothers had a bike accident and lost all of his memory. And the only thing he remembered was his twin brother. So he woke up and knew that it was his twin brother, but didn't know his mom, didn't know his dad, didn't know what his life had been, didn't know anything else that had happened. And the other brother chose to not tell him. So he kind of rehabilitated him, taught him how to ride again, taught him how to speak again, all the different things that he needed to do, but just omitted the molestation, the whole experience with his mum. I felt that was I said to my wife, that's the best, well, it's a dream come true for him. Because obviously the brother knew the pain that he was going through. Why would you give that to him again? Because he's been rid of it, do you know what I mean? But I think my wife was like, no, you should have the right. It's the truth. Do you know what I mean? It's the truth, and he has the right to know the truth. And lo and behold, that was his opinion. And it ruined his life finding out all those years later. He'd remembered the whole time that it happened. It was such a weird thing, and I just felt like that you can't hide from it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can't, it's one of those things you can't hide from. So it's a release to know it. It's a release to do it, and yeah, the more you do it, I suppose it's quite dangerous, because you feel the physical benefit of being honest, or as honest as you can, you know, in any scenario. And you start to be, you know, I've got to the place where I have some real conversations with my friends in studio and stuff like that. Sometimes, you know, they turn into arguments maybe that you didn't know you were like that were, or about things that you didn't know kind of existed or whatever. But either way, kind of getting to the other side of those things are always great.
I guess great art ultimately is the truth somehow, you know? It strikes a chord in you that you never saw before, and it has to be true or it wouldn't mean something to you somehow. Yeah. So, what's it like working with this young talent here? You got Dave playing Modi, scaring the hell out of me. You got Little Sims and was it Michael
Ward?
Michael Ward playing Jamie, amazing actor. Like, wow. What's it like with this talent? Do they look at you as a mentor? They look at you as an old man? Like,
I mean, I think mixture of both, I suppose, if they're honest and I'm honest. But yeah, they're very. I mean, most of them have grown up, kind of watching me. And me, I'm quite, like, I've not grown up watching them, but I know who they are. So I kind of just, you know, I always go into everything trying to give everyone respect. And I think what shocks them more about me is that they're kind of weirded out by how much I respect them. Do you know what I mean? So I always end up having these conversations with people like, you know, I met Idris once and he was like, no, you're the man, bruv. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, you're the guy. And he's like, no, but you're, and you kind of go away from the conversation like, oh shit. Yeah, actually people watch me as well.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? You never kind of see yourself as that person. So it is, I think there's
You
a
like
lot
to
of
pass that on to them, to let them know you're watching them too.
Yeah, I kind of like, you know, it's good for everyone to know that they're all there on their own merit. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing, there's no, we don't do things, we didn't bring Dave into the show because he was Dave. Do you know what I mean? We had no idea about all the other things that happened for him after that just kind of coincided with the show or whatever. And but we always knew he was going to be successful. But we knew he was a brilliant actor.
I didn't know it was him till after.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, yeah.
He's great. I mean, he just goes, he's another, you know, he reminds me of Kane in season 1. He's just fearless.
Yeah.
Just fearless. You have to be. And it looks like, for me, watching him on screen, it's like, he looks like he's had like a good 5-6 years of experience already.
But he
you know what I'm
hasn't.
saying? But he hasn't. So
Where does that come from? Does that come from performing? Because you were a musician, you were a performer, but they're different arts, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But I don't know whether, I think these days we are creating a different kind of artist that is kind of more all round. And I don't know whether that's through social media or, you know, just the way things are now, but like most kids can rap, sing, dance, and act now anyway.
By the time they're 15.
Yeah, they can. It's like,
and I guess they're constantly performing because you're on social media.
because you're on social media.
Or somebody's interviewing here and there,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
more. Whereas back in your day, you'd either be on the radio or maybe on the stage or in a video, and that was it.
That was it, yeah. If you were in it, you were kind of in it. If you weren't, you had to be going Sylvia Young and doing stuff to actually participate in media or in anything like that. But now it's kind of, it's in your hand, and people are kind of, you know, they're desensitizing themselves. So you meet a lot of these people that it's like their first time acting, and they walk on set like they've been on set 100 times before. They know what a trailer's meant to look like. Like, no, this doesn't look good enough. It's like, how do you know? You never had one. I saw it on Instagram. You know? It's like, it's that sort of thing is happening. So they're really prepared, really confident. Sims had experience before, I think, before she started, but we hadn't discussed that. But I feel she's a natural.
She's so good.
She's just so cool. She's so subtle. I love her.
That's the thing. She
how
brings
subtle
that
she is.
subtlety that I feel like you and Kane brought to Top Boy from season 1, where it's the subtlety is what it is. Or is that a British thing? What is it?
It's a combination of the two. I feel like that word has followed me throughout my career. I remember when I got my award for Bullet Boy, and I remember reading a write-up afterwards, and they coined a phrase, I can't remember what it was, something like vague nouveau, or something like that. Like they said my performance was, and that's kind of been my thing. It's kind of, I'm always, you know, I have a hard time with directors on set or in castings, because they always feel like, well, we'd love to have Ashley Waters, and I come in and I kind of perform in front of them, and they're like, could you give me a bit more?
Who do they want, Ash or D?
Yeah, I don't know sometimes, and I'm just like...
We were having this discussion last time
Yeah.
about when you were on the set of Get Rich or Die Trying, and the director was, you guys were having it out, and he was trying to get you to play a more animated, you know, paraplegic guy or whatever, and you were not having it. I mean, but when you're on stage, when you're on the 21 Seconds video, you're a performer. You're bringing it. You're entertaining. So it's always surprising to me that you just didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to do the same thing as an actor," but you took it to a different level.
Well, I've always wanted it to look real.
Okay, but you were on the stage when you were 6 years old, so you know, does that have anything to do with it? But on the stage, you're supposed to go big too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been taught on stage, like you want to. That person at the back of the room needs to hear you and see you, you know, just like the person at the front, in the front. So there's always a level that you kind of, I've got to up it. And even when we're filming, like, you know, what I'm saying, I'm more experienced now. So I understand. When we're in the wide, I've got to perform a bit more. than I would in the close. I know my shots, I know when I'm doing what, with experience. But my style is always I've always been one of those people that have cringed watching other things and they're too over the top. And I feel like this genre in particular has a lot of that.
Okay. Crime, reality,
yeah, like crime,
drama.
reality, drama, hood movies, you know, that sort of thing. Always had a lot of, what you saying, blood? Yeah, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, and sometimes it is exhausting. Like I've gone to cinema and watched films and I don't feel like I've been given a story. I feel like I'm just exhausted.
Is it insulting as well?
It can be insulting, but even though, because you know what, majority of the time it's not. I mean, if it's, you know, parodies, if it's comes from a place where, you know, people shouldn't have really been telling that story anyway, maybe, I don't know. But majority of the time, I'm just like, it's actually people from that world don't know how they look. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or maybe they've watched bad representations of themselves too much to the point that that's what they kind of go for.
Well, art becomes reality and vice versa.
Well, there you go.
Right?
Yeah. So I think that, yeah, there's just kind of, I've always been one of those people that are kind of like, all right, I've realized now there's a level. So if I put something on the screen at a certain level, it will look like that when it comes out. It doesn't look exactly the same. So it's like the wind when you're playing golf. You have to measure it. You have to know who you're in the room with. Well, I can act with Kane a certain way on screen, but I can't act the same with one of the other actors if I'm working with them, because they might not be meeting me where I need them to, or I might not be meeting them or whatever. So you have to find you know, you're always constantly balancing to make it kind of have one sort of level throughout. But yeah, I hate being over the top, and you know, there's a lot of directors that won't work with me because of that. But I never get, I don't think I'll get an American job with a tape. I think I'm always gonna have to meet like the director or the producer or whatever. We're always gonna have a situation where we sit down and they can actually film me in person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, or they could watch Top Boy and then get it.
Maybe.
Hopefully get it, maybe.
It never works like that.
No, it doesn't, okay. What is it, Clint Eastwood had that famous expression where he used to tell people, he said, don't just do something, stand there. That's what he said was his mantra when he did the spaghetti westerns. Because if you look at him when he's the spaghetti western guy and the good, the bad, and the ugly, literally sometimes he is just standing there. He's not trying to do something. He's not trying to look tough. He's not. Sometimes he's literally just standing there, and yet it's the perfect thing. You're like, what the hell? What's going on with this guy? You feel something. You know, it's those subtleties that makes it beautiful and timeless. You know, whereas if he had tried to overact, it would have been over the top.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.